Welcome everyone to another issue of Tales from the Spinner Rack, our weekly comic book review podcast. And from the Absolute Geek Podcast, I am Matt, and as always with me from Audio Ammunition, I have Jay. How's it going? Not Tom King.
Hello, friends.
Not Tom King. Not somebody this week, huh?
No, definitely not. Poor Tom
We're coming to you an hour earlier because, well, half an hour earlier because someone has a super soft birthday party they got to get to. So we're going to quickly run through last week's books. Hopefully you guys got to get to your comic book shops and picked up some choice reads last week. And we're going to go ahead and give you our opinions on the books we picked up last week, as always, as we do every week on this show. So do you want to kick us off? You want me to kick us off? What do you want to do with this week?
I can start off. I'll start.
Don't sound so interested. Don't sound so enthusiastic to just jump right in there.
There's not a lot. There wasn't a lot to be enthusiastic about.
Oh, there's tons. There's tons. You just didn't get the right books.
Yeah, I guess. So, first book that I got that I'm going to talk about is Daphne Burn, which is a Hill House book that DC is putting out. Part of the Joe Hill, the author Joe Hill's little sub brand there, and they're horror books. As you know, if you're familiar with Joe Hill, you probably guess that. So Daphne Burn so it takes place in the 1800s, okay, and basically the whole thing is about a little girl that is kind of dark and doesn't fit in, and she gets bullied because her family doesn't have a lot of money, and she's kind of weird and she's kind of creepy, and her dad recently passed away, who she loved very much. So her mom she lives by herself with her mom, and so her mom.
So that she doesn't live by herself. She lives with her mom.
Well, with her mom, but she doesn't have any siblings or anything. And so
she doesn't live by herself. She lives with her mom.
Yeah. Okay. She lives with her mother. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying that. So
I live by myself, but my mom's there too.
Yeah, the parental unit's around somewhere.
My roommates.
Yeah, no roomies. And so her mom is also going through her own problems after her husband's death. And so she comes to Daphne one day and she says, "Hey, you're never going to guess. I spoke to your dad." And she says, "What?" She said, "Yeah, I spoke to your dad through this person. Okay, this person helped me speak to him. I paid her all this money."
And he said, "Here, drink this Kool-Aid."
Yeah, pretty much. And so she's kind of really skeptical, and so her mom takes Daphne to the medium or whatever. This is supposed to be like a seance. And so of course, Daphne's being the kind of bright little girl that she is, sees right through it. And she says, "Mom, you're dumb. This is a hoax. You wasted all your money." And the fact that they were like really poor makes it even worse. So that evening it showed like their dinner, and they like had like these little scraps because she basically spent all their money on this seance. So
I hate when that happens.
I know, that's the worst. And so that evening she falls asleep and she has a dream where she's in a graveyard and this like dark Dracula looking dude basically, is like, come with me. And she's like, who are you? And she's like, and she basically says, are you coming to see my father? Are you taking me to see my father? And he goes, no, I'm taking you to see your real father. And he goes, so there's something you have to do first. And so he like has her try to kill a pig, right? Like with a knife. There's this pig tied up, and he's like, before we go see your real father, you need to kill this pig.
Well, so wait, the pig is already tied up.
Yeah, he's tied up.
She's got to try to kill it?
Yeah, she has to like stick a knife in it and sacrifice it.
So she has to kill it.
And
I want you to try and kill this pig that's already tied up. I've already done the work for you. You just gotta finish it.
It's more of a mental obstacle at this point.
Finish it.
It's not like a little greased piglet at the county fair that she has to catch. And so,
how'd you know my high school nickname?
Greased piglet. So
we don't talk about that. That's for another time and another show.
So she kills it, and like blood splatters everywhere, and then she wakes up, and in reality, and she wakes up, and there's blood on her hands. Period. That's you could kind of interpret it that way if you were kind of sick.
She became a woman. She flowered.
The first day of the rest of her life.
In my dreams, I murdered a pig, and then when I woke up, I had become a woman.
Is that symbolic?
My flower was blooming.
Hopefully there's not a parallel there. But yeah, so that was the book. And the thing that really disappoints me is I always tell people who want to get into comics, I say, hey, judge the book by its cover. That's what it's there for. Maybe, with novels, you go into a Barnes and Noble or whatever, and you can't always judge a book by its cover, but in comics, that's the first thing you see, and everyone knows it. So they put a lot into the cover to lure you in and to try to buy the book. So in my opinion, you should judge a comic book by its cover. And this one was pretty cool because it had some creepy looking like Salem's Lot vampire guy, and it was, I don't know, it was pretty disappointing to me.
I don't know if that's still true to this day as far as comic goes with judging them by their cover, because even a lot of the times nowadays the covers have nothing to do with the interiors. It really just depends on the book.
No, maybe not, but you have to admit that they do try to make the cover dazzle.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. They make the cover stand out and they make it grab your attention, absolutely. But I wouldn't say that a lot of times. I don't think the cover has much to do with the interiors most of the time, especially with it just depends on the book. Like Walking Dead, most of the times their covers had nothing to do with their interiors. And it's just like they put a cool piece of art on the cover to grab your attention.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I mean, that, by if you're like a first time or, comic book buyer and you walk into a store and if for whatever reason that cover grabs your attention and you're interested in that sort, buy it, So anyway, that's all I mean by that. Yeah, no, it doesn't necessarily represent what's inside. Yeah, that's for sure.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Daphne Burn, I was a little disappointed. I'm gonna give it 2.5 out of 5.
Oh my god! You should tweet her at her. let her know your disappointment.
No, I'm not gonna be one of those, man.
Tweet at her.
Hate tweeter. So yeah, I think probably it was me. I think I just put too much stock in all of these Hill House books. So I don't know. And the thing that like nothing really, I don't know. It was just a decent introduction, I suppose, but nothing really happened. So it petered out for me. What do you got?
So this week I'm going to start off with the one of the two big books from last week. This book is making its rounds if you're a speculator out there. TMNT Power Rangers #2. That's the Michelangelo variant. I'm collecting all those kind of variants. This book was huge on the speculation market as it is the first appearance of the Shredder as the Green Ranger. That's right, you heard it right. Shredder as the Green Ranger. And if you're watching this on the YouTube playback or watching this live, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to spoil it up for you. There is the picture of the Shredder as the Green Ranger. For everyone who wanted to see it. Basically, other than that, I still like this book. It's still a nostalgia love baby between two of my favorite things growing up. Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. Like I said, all you needed to do is mash Ghostbusters in there, and it's like a trifecta of orgasmly childhood greatness. So, you have in this book, so it starts off with the Power Rangers and Turtles still fighting each other, and they're talking back and forth. Like, you know, the Power Rangers think that the Turtles are a monsters from Rita, and the Turtles all understand who the Power Rangers are, and they're kind of like, why are you fighting us? We should be working together. And Donatello is a big fan of the Power Rangers, and they kind of come to they kind of start to understand each other, that they're the good guys, and they've got a common enemy in the Shredder and the Foot Clan that they're trying to beat. And they go to Zordon, and Zordon tells them, look, you guys got to trust the Turtles. You got to trust the Turtles as much as you would trust your own partners and your other Rangers. So the Rangers take their helmets off, and they kind of introduce themselves to the Turtles, and the Turtles take them down to in the sewer to hide and introduce them to Splinter and April. And that's kind of where you see that. And then you find out that Tommy has infiltrated the Foot Clan in order to save someone from Angel Grove that has decided to join up with them. And he gets double crossed by this kid, and the Shredder's got him in a cage, and he basically says, you know what? He's like, you think you've got the upper hand, but I'm going to show you. So he pulls out his morpher to go morph into the Green Ranger. And as he does, he gets shocked by the cage and knocked out of his morphing. And the Shredder picks up his morpher, and he's like, thanks for showing me how to do that. And Rita comes from the moon to try and get, because she feels the disturbance in the power grid, to try to get the green power coin back. If everyone knows the Power Rangers lore, you know the lore between the green power coin and Rita. I'm not going to go into all that. But to get her green power coin back, and as she comes to get it back, she confronts Shredder, and she says, give me my power coin before I vaporize everybody. And he basically says, oh yeah, you think you're hot stuff, and then transforms. He uses the morpher and transforms into the Green Ranger, and he's like, you can have the morpher back when you pry it out of my cold dead hands. And that's the final panel right there of him transforming into the Green Ranger. All in all, I give that book 4.5.
Nice.
Still runs the nostalgia market. It was cool seeing the Shredder as the Green Ranger. Issue 2, the only reason I don't go 5 is because issue 2, you're already issue 2, and you're already pulling out all the stops with showing Shredder as Green Ranger. I think you could have held that back for maybe another issue or 2 before you made that big reveal. But you know what? I'm all in. He looks dope. The art in it is cool. The story is cool. It's an interesting mashup. I'm down for the ride.
So you're saying the load was blown too soon?
I think so, yeah. It's a little premature. A little premature, EJ. Keep it family friendly here.
So,
unlike last week where I couldn't do that to save my life.
Do what?
Keep the show family friendly.
Oh yeah. It's tough sometimes for you absolute geek guys. I understand.
Oh God.
So, okay, let me ask you this. Did you read X-Force #5?
I did read X-Force #5.
All right. Because that's the one I want to go into next.
Let's do it.
I think...
Which cover did you get?
I got the one with Forge standing there with all this, like, all his, like, techno-organic armor.
I picked up the Colossus goatee variant.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
That's the one I picked up.
Okay, so I think X-Force is becoming my favorite X title.
becoming. It's already been mine. That and
You know,
Marauders, but I'm telling you, like, I've yet to have a soft. Well, I've had one soft issue of X-Force. I've had 2 soft issues of Marauders now.
It's not looking good for Marauders. So this X-Force number 5 picks up right where number 4 left off.
Which most comics do.
Which is Wolverine is still sitting in half, like his legs and his torso are
well, yeah, we didn't talk about that. Him and
Kid Omega
have been blown apart.
Yeah, Kid Omega's been beheaded.
Yep,
and Logan's in half. So this issue is basically Domino's revenge on her captors. So Logan, Domino, and Kid Omega were sent in here, and the mercenaries pretty much started blowing crap up immediately.
Well, yeah, they tried to come through the portal from Krakoa to where the mercenaries were, and they blew up the portal. And of course, the first 2 across were Kid Omega and Wolverine, so they were blown to smithereens, and you kind of had Domino left on the other side trying to radio Wolverine, Logan, to see what's going on. And that was kind of cool watching her like drag his lower half back across on their side of the portal.
I know, and I didn't even think about it, but she said something about friggin' adamantium.
Yeah,
dude, those legs must weigh a lot. And so Domino with her luck abilities in full again, and
well, she does it though, because she makes reference to it a couple of times in the book, how her luck is run low. So
that's right. Okay.
So I don't think she's not at 100%.
Not 100%. And so,
but in this world, so real quick though, but like in this world of Krakoa, where she is like half Krakoan, well, she's like got this bio armor on now that Forge gives her. With Krakoa's ability to regrow people, why wouldn't you just kill yourself? If you're all fucked or all messed up like that already, I just screwed it up. If you're all messed up like that already, why wouldn't you just like have Logan stab you or blow yourself up, or she could have been the first one through the portal and blown up, and then they can regrow her, and that way she's whole again instead of being like half Krakoan.
It just makes her look cooler.
You think
it just
so?
Makes her look tougher. It kind of makes her look tougher. You got to
definitely makes her look tougher.
Yeah. And so she just pretty much goes to town on these guys, and it's kind of cool because you got Beast on the other end of the radio kind of basically saying we need survivors, okay? And as she's just like ripping these guys apart, and so she and Forge now has like this huge like the bio armor, the Krakoan bio armor suit, which is like part plant, part
dragonfly,
yeah. So he's in there. He's in the mix now too, with Domino, and they're start tearing apart mercenaries. Wolverine, despite missing the lower half of his legs, still chops a few of them up also. And so the whole thing basically ends with Domino getting back at them quite a bit. She did manage to keep one of the dudes alive, one of the mercenaries alive, which she does take back to Beast, where Beast and Jean Grey Beast tries to interrogate him, but he doesn't get much. But Jean Grey goes into his mind and pretty much reveals who is behind these Krakoan attacks. And as far as I know, I couldn't recognize who that was. Did you?
Well, so it's been the guy that's been the villain since the beginning. It's the dude with the peacock tattoo.
Yeah, but he's not an existing villain, right?
No, he's a new villain.
Okay, yeah.
He's new for this. He's I believe he's a Hickman created villain.
So art, awesome. Pace, great, fantastic. Um, the dialogue and the right. I mean, it's not okay. So this whole thing, it's not without heart. You know, it's that sounds stupid because I just described a big splatter fest, which it was, but it does have its moments of, um, you know, it has a soul, is what I guess what I'm trying to say. It's not just a big splatter fest, and so that's why I like it a lot. It's kind of got, you know, a little bit of everything. So I give this book, I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean it has a little bit of everything. I like how the violence factor in this book has stepped up a little bit more. I
Yeah.
have to agree with you there with a 4.5. Um, the pacing was good. The art is fantastic. I like the step up in the violence. I like the scene of Wolverine on top of the dude, like his bottom half, and he's just stabbing him in the back. Um, I like the I like the fact that like that old guru guy finally got off the hilltop and he's doing something now, and you know, Forge with that armor, and I like that Forge basically picks up Wolverine's torso and his upper half and slams it together, and
Yeah.
Wolverine starts screaming for him to let him go, and he's like, I can't let you go until your spinal cord fuses back together. So, you know, it's this had some very interesting variables in this book. It was a very interesting issue. I liked the change in Domino where you're seeing her just go ham and like she's not listening to anybody. She can't control herself, and like Beast is just losing his mind on the other end of the comms, and
Yeah.
he's just like, you know, if this whole idea of X Force is gonna work, you need to listen to me. Like, there's no reason to have this covert group if you're not gonna listen to me, and we're not gonna use it to its full effect. And I like I said, it was interesting. I like the stuff with Jean Grey at the end. I mean, I have no problems with this issue.
Yeah, I really liked the part where when the battle was over, Domino and Wolverine were sitting on that cliffside overlooking the sunset. And I don't know, it's kind of like a nice little, it kind of pumps the brakes a little bit,
Yeah,
you know, where she says, Wolverine comes up to her and says, "Hey, how are you holding together, Dom?" And he says, "Should be asking you the same." And Wolverine says, "Feels like a piece of, you know, curse word expletive, but I'll be all right this time or with time." And she says, "What about the other wounds? The wounds up here?" And she like shakes his, you know, like hair. I don't know. It's just kind of a nice moment, a nice, you know, I don't want to say tender moment, but it's kind of a cool little moment to catch your breath in all of this, you know. But I don't know. I like moments like this. I think this is it's times like this when you kind of get to know the characters that are doing all the fighting, and you get to know their relationship with each other, and which I find pretty important. So yeah, that was probably my favorite part. One of my favorite parts is this. So
well, one of the other things I really like is this issue does a lot to kind of show you really like you kind of look at Wolverine's healing ability as kind of like whatever, and like you're like, how much can he really, how much can he really have that? How much can he really heal from? And like this issue, you see him get ripped in half, and then he still crawls over and starts stabbing this dude in the back, and then they start unloading on him, and he's like sitting there bullet ridden on the ground, just like blown to pieces, and there's like nothing left of him. And then Forge jams him back together with his other half and he starts healing. It's You got to give it up for that healing factor, man. Like everyone's like, man, I'd like to have invisibility or flight, and not very many people would be like, I want to have a healing factor as a superpower. And I think that would be a good one to have, especially if you get hurt and just heal right away.
right, exactly. So
So I think 4 or 5 is a fair assessment for this issue, and I was gonna go 4, but I think you're right. The little tipping point at the end is that little happy moment between Wolverine and Domino at the end. Two characters you don't get enough interaction with between. I
Right,
think.
right, exactly. And these two characters, you think, they would, because they kind of have a lot in common, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, see, I fully expect you to go, you cheese ball, or
No.
something. But no, yeah, it's a good issue. I look forward to the next one quite a bit.
Well, let's go from talking about that book to talking about a book that was a I don't want to call it a real stinker, but I want to call it a book that
I'll
I don't
call it that.
it was a weak showing but a strong finish that excites you for the next issue. I'm talking Excalibur #5. This book was something else. It pretty much focused on, if you've been reading this book, it focused on the dream realm, or the other realm where Betsy Bryant has been going to try and save her brother, is crossing over into the real world, and they're trying to stop it. Um, for some reason, Apocalypse needed Rogue to do this, and as they're fighting these monsters that are coming across, Gambit doesn't like the fact that Rogue is being used as a pawn, so he tries to wake her up. He effectively wakes her up, which in turn messes up basically Apocalypse's sealing technique that he's trying to do. And he pretty much messes up Gambit, or tries to mess up Gambit. So when Rogue wakes up, she pretty much loses her mind, and she goes after Apocalypse, and she takes down Apocalypse, and she's killing him. And as she's absorbing him, he's sitting there egging her on, being like, yes, do it. This is the power we need to close the gates. Do it. Kill me. You need to kill me. You have to kill me. And he's egging her on to do it. And sure enough, she does it. And Gambit kind of looks up at her at the last panel, and to her surprise, you've got the first appearance of Apocalypse Rogue, or whatever they're going to call her. But she has absorbed Apocalypse, so she now has the blue skin. She looks like Apocalypse in Rogue's body. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here. To me, that was really the only saving grace of this issue. This is issue 5. Where, as I said, the Power Rangers Ninja Turtles needed to take a little bit longer for that reveal. This took too long for this reveal. This took too long to wake Rogue up.
Yeah, yeah. It's this series kind of has more of a fantasy. 2.5?
2.5.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a decent score. But there were a couple of other times when I was ready to bail on this book, and then the cliffhanger at the end made me go, I'll just wait one more. And yeah, man, it's with all the X titles, I think I was telling you and Corbin before, it was fine, back in the day when you had 5 or 6 X-Men titles and they were all monthly. And so you're like, okay, well, now you have an X-Men book once a week, which is kind of cool. Or maybe sometimes a couple times a week, but for the most part, it was once a week. These are all bi-weekly, or bi-monthly, which they come out twice a month. And it's so hard. I think Corbin pretty much bailed out on all of them.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to bail out on a couple of them. Excalibur, I'm hanging on by just threads at this point. But Apocalypse Rogue definitely has me. It's going to have me back at least next issue.
Yeah. I think Excalibur is very self-aware, and it's self-aware that they're like, oh man, maybe this wasn't the best issue, and they're like, well, we got to throw something at the end to try and pull everybody back off the edge.
I hope so. I hope this book picks up. But so yeah, 2.5 all around.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, it is. And even the art's not all that great.
Because I'll tell you
either.
what I did with this book. All right, I picked it up, I started reading it, got to like the third or fourth page, and I was like, this is really boring. I'm not invested in this at all. I started looking at my phone, I started listening to the news. If I'm listening to the crap that's going on in the world versus reading this, my escape, there's a problem. I'm like, I'm just not into this book. I started flipping through, and I got to that last page, and I was like, what the? And that's what made me, like, all right, I got to go back and read this book. And I muscled through it just to get to the end. But that's what did it, is I flipped to the last page, and I saw her as Apocalypse, and I was like, all right, I guess I got to go back. And I went back and finished reading it, but it was a chore.
It was. In fact, I was trying to power through it even right up until we started the podcast. And Matt's like, do me a favor, turn to the last panel. And I did. I had like 4 or 5 pages left to go. And I did. I'm like, sold. That's all I needed.
But good transition. So let's go from one book that was a chore to get through to another. And I'm talking 20XX.
Ooh.
I know this book. Everyone's going to say, but Matt, Jay, you guys talked so highly about it a couple of episodes ago. And you're right, we did. But you know what?
Because it was good.
Some things happen. And I'm going to still give it my 4-issue run here. But I'm hoping that it gets better, because issue 2 was hot trash. Issue 2 for me was hot trash. It completely. I've never had a book completely wipe my interest from issue 1 to issue 2 away in one issue. And this book did it. And I just felt like the pacing was bad. The dialogue was sloppy. You were having a hard time trying to understand what the characters at the beginning of the book were talking about. It just was not a fun read for me. I mean, it gets some of these word bubbles it gets real wordy in the middle. Like some of these conversations and these word bubbles are like there's very minimal art in the frame, and most of the frame is just word bubbles for conversation. And I'm like, what is this? And I was like, I don't know. When I finished, I was like, literally, what did I just read? So this book, 20XX issue 2, gonna get a 0.5. 0.5.
Yeah. I was
a 0.5er, man. Like,
I was very surprised, like you said. I liked the first one so much, and I just picked it up. Honestly, I just picked it up because you were picking it up, and I wanted something to discuss. And I'm like, and it got a lot of press. A lot of people was like, I can't wait for this book, and so I got it, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was pretty good. But this went from excuse me, the story of one person going through this trying time and her world just crashing down around her, to like gangs, like rival gangs.
Yeah.
And there were, like Matt was saying, it's so wordy. And I mean, there's some panels here that are exactly the same with just different word bubbles all like through. I'm like, what?
Let me put it for people who maybe haven't read this book. All right. Issue 1 was like watching an episode of The Boys. If you watch The Boys on Amazon Prime, issue 1 was like watching an episode of The Boys to watching an episode of Frasier in episode 2. Like, it was very dialogue heavy. It just was not an attention grabber for me. I gotta go 0.5. I gotta go 0.5. And I might end up breaking my 4-issue rule. If issue 3, I might do my due diligence for issue 3 and pick it up and skim it at the comic book shop. And because this was a heavy week, and I was like, I don't want to spend $50 in comics, so I got to make sacrifices. So I was like, I know I liked 20XX issue 1. Let me pick up issue 2. Issue 3, I'm definitely gonna do a precautionary scan on before I pick that bad boy up because I'm not happy that I spent $3.99 at a book that I'm going to give a 0.5 to.
Yeah.
Like I said, issue 1 was like watching an episode, reading an episode, or an issue of The Boys, and issue 2 is like Frasier.
It was not good. It was not good. Too many new characters talking about a lot of crap you don't even know, and you're getting these backstories of these people that you don't care about. And I'm sorry, but I am not a big fan of like gang culture. And that's where this is going. I did a bad drug deal with the East Side, and now the West Side wants to kill me, but the West Side doesn't know the East Side knows. And I'm like, who cares?
Well, if you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. And I'm like, I'm out. In fact, I stopped reading it maybe 3/4 of the way through, and I got back into it when I saw the main character again, who didn't appear hardly throughout the entire issue until like towards the end. And I'm like, no, I'm out.
Frasier was awesome. Frasier may have been an awesome show to watch, but if you were reading it in comic book form, good God.
Yeah. So you get 0.25. I'm going to give it.
It was like reading an episode of Couch Crunchers. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to give it a 0.15.
Well, at least you got a little bit better score from you than it did for me. 0.5. 0.5 is where I'm sticking.
So, yeah.
What else you got?
I'm not getting this again. I'll see what you say if you get it. You want to do Batman 86?
Go for it. I didn't pick it up. Batman 86 was actually the book I sacrificed for 20XX, and I'm a little disappointed I did, because I know that people are excited for Tinian, or Tanyan, as Corbin wants to call him. Tynion taking over the writing duties in Gotham now, so I'm interested to hear what your opinion on the new Batman.
So yeah, like Matt was saying, James Tynion the fourth took over writing duties. Tony S. Daniel is doing the pencils, and freaking it looks fantastic. Art's so great. And well, okay, so I'm very hesitant to spoil this.
Just spoil it. It was a week ago.
Okay, so Batman. I'll just run it down real quick. But you haven't read it, so I don't want to spoil it for you.
It's fine.
So again, Batman
came out a week ago.
Gets the word that there's like a group of assassins getting together, and I'll just go through it like really loosely. And so basically the head of these assassins, they're being put together by Deathstroke. And
Shocking.
Yeah, I know.
Deathstroke is the flavor of the month at DC, apparently.
Is he? Why do you say that? Is he another?
Because he was in Titan. He was the main bad guy in Titans, and he's just kind of been all over the place as of late.
That's interesting. And so Batman and Deathstroke get into it, and Batman gets beat up pretty bad, and but he finally gets Deathstroke, and there is this part that's really, I don't know, I kind of like that he kept some of the stuff in it. One of the things is Alfred is still dead, and there's a part where Deathstroke's laying at Batman's feet, and he calls up Lucius Fox, and he says, "Hey Alfred, I need you to to call the commissioner and tell him to prepare some cells in the in the max security wing. And Lucius kind of sits there and goes, I'm sorry, Bruce. Alfred isn't here. And then they show this part where like Batman just kind of looks down, very really solemnly, and he says, forgive me, Lucius. It's been a long night. I'm like, oh,
sad halt music plays.
Oh, dude, it was really sad. And yeah, and so, and the other thing that's kind of going on,
Alfred, prepare the wings. He's dead, Batman.
And the Nightcrawler.
That's him playing his harp from heaven.
The Nightcrawler kind of makes an appearance.
Wait, the Nightcrawler? Marvel's gonna sue somebody.
But they call it the Night Climber, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And it's not quite the same because it turns into like a plane.
Oh, okay. So it's
end.
not like a teleporting mutant.
No. I'm talking about the Nightcrawler from Batman versus Superman, or was it Justice League?
The one where they're fighting in the it's crawling up the wall.
Yeah.
Justice League.
Yeah. So that's the one that kind of makes an appearance in a form or another. But the epilogue, there's kind of a Joker epilogue, also, which is pretty cool. But all in all, man, I dug it. I thought it was a pretty cool story. Again, the art was phenomenal. Even if you didn't care for the story itself, just it's visually stunning.
So wait, you're telling me that Tanyan, or however you want to say his name, is getting a Joker story right off the bat?
It certainly looks like
Didn't we have a conversation about this last week where we felt like maybe DC didn't have all that faith in Tom King because they wouldn't let him play with the Crown Prince of Crime on his own, but yet Tynion's going to get handed the keys to the castle and the Joker, his first story arc in?
Looks like that's where it's going. Yeah. So, but it's a good book, a good read, fun read. Much like X-Force, there was just a great dialogue, good pace. I'm going to give this one. I'll give this one a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for me. First James Tynion. And I'm kind of surprised that they didn't start numbering them with, back at number 1 again.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they just kept it going.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad too. I was really surprised when they did that with Superman.
Yeah, there's no need to do that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my take on that. What do you got?
Let me go. Venom Island, number 2, which is coming for Venom 22 with that sick ass variant cover right there.
Oh yeah, well, that is cool.
Red and black variant cover. This is a pretty low key issue. I think it's definitely setting up the events to come. Eddie has found himself on Venom Island, and he's making the preparations to try and separate his symbiote from Carnage. Because if you remember at the end of the events of the Carnage crossover, though the two symbiotes are pretty much together now. So he's booby trapped this island from the last time they were on Venom Island, so he knows the island well. And it's kind of like the whole issue is him inner monologuing, trying to get his symbiote back and separate it from the Carnage symbiote. And he's unable to do that as he what he thinks he set a trap for the symbiote. He quickly realizes that the symbiote is the one that set a trap for him, and the symbiote kind of reaches out and grabs him and attaches himself to Eddie Brock's hand and won't let him go. And he's like, I'm gonna kill I'm gonna kill your partner, and I'm gonna take you over too, and you're never gonna get him back. And basically, you came in here thinking that you were gonna save him, and now you're the one that needs saving. And basically, long story short, at the end of it, Eddie Brock says he promises to come back for his symbiote, and then he cuts his own hand off to separate himself from the Carnage symbiote so he can get away to fight another day.
Oh, jeez.
Boom.
Wow.
So I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Pretty tame as far as the comic goes, but it's building up to the greater story as the God symbiote is still coming from space. The cover is dope. The story wasn't bad, but it wasn't groundbreaking either. So I think 3.5 is probably about a fair assessment.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead.
What do you got next, or do you want me to keep going?
I've got one here. I've got a couple more. I picked up The Clock #1 that Image put out, and it's Matt Hawkins, the writer, Colleen Doran, and Brian Valenza were the artists. And I didn't really know what to think. The cover looked pretty cool, and I know I believe Matt Hawkins wrote a book a few years ago called Symmetry, which I thought was pretty good. And so I'm like, okay, I'll pick this up. And it was pretty dull, in my opinion. And again, that's just my personal thing. I was expecting something different, but the book's about a group of scientists, American scientists, and it starts off in Africa in a quarantined like camp. It kind of reminded me of like District 9 kind of. And there was like this like, this shoddy camp full of like hundreds of tents, and it's all fenced off, and you realize that it's a father and son that are heading this team of scientists, and this little quarantine area. It's a control group because apparently the rest of the world is getting a viral form of cancer, and it's spreading really quickly. Yeah, it's spreading really quickly. And this area of Africa, it's not spreading. And so they want to figure out why. And so they got these guys as a control group, and they can't figure out why. It's like there's nothing special about these guys. It's we don't know what's going on. So they go back to the States where they're in this hearing, and they're basically reporting their findings to a group of leaders, and the scientists kind of, they say, okay, well, this is what we found out. This cancer, it's spreading really quickly, and we think that that it's affecting people that are going to get cancer at some point in their lives. It's just accelerating that, by a huge factor. It's really quickly. It's enhancing that gene or those cells. And so the scientist says, well, we anticipate half the world's population will be dead in a year. And the scientists, or the Congress, kind of like, and they say, well, what do you want to do about it? And the guy goes, one of the scientist guys goes, I don't think we should do anything about it. And that's kind of where it ends, and he kind of goes on and on about saying, imagine a planet that's the human population is exploding so rapidly, and so much of the Earth's resources are being depleted. Imagine if suddenly half of the human population ceased to exist. We could start repairing Earth and making it a more inhabitable place to live, a better place to live for future generations. So that's why they don't want to do anything. It's like we don't want to find a cure. We think this may not be a bad thing, and that's kind of where it ended, more or less. Not my thing. Little dull. Maybe a Amazon Prime miniseries. Maybe this could have been like the new season 3 of Jack Ryan or something. But I was kind of bored. I don't think I'm going to continue. But the art was pretty cool, and again, the story was good. I didn't have to, power through it at all. I'll give it a 3 out of 5, but it's just not my cup of tea. I don't think I'm coming back for issue 2.
It's too bad.
Yeah. You got anything else?
That's too bad. Yeah, moving on for me here. I'm getting down to the end of my list. This week we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 101. I had to pick up both covers because look, both A and B covers are absolute fire. There's the A cover right there, and then there's the B cover right there. So like I said, both covers to me, in my personal opinion, were absolute fire. This 101 is the first issue from the fallout after the death of Splinter at the end of issue 100. 6 months have gone by since the death of Splinter, and you see the effect that it takes on the Turtles. Raphael has he's taken off the colors. He doesn't wear the red bandana anymore. He's gone out in his own way. If you were following the City at War storylines for this, basically Mutagen got out and half of the population of the city is being turned into mutants. So they decide until they can figure out a way to counteract the mutagen, they wall off a certain section of the city, and that's where all the mutants live, is in this walled off part of the city. So Raphael has taken off his colors and taken up the role of a loner vigilante. He wears all black now. He wears a black mask with a black hoodie, going around fighting crime. And then you have some of the other off-key characters have kind of started a support shelter for mutant children and mutants that have been left by people who haven't turned. And Michelangelo has kind of fallen into depression where he doesn't leave his bed, and he hasn't left the bed in 6 months, and he's got kind of like a emotional support cat. And Leonardo has withdrawn himself from the group and is taken up gardening and pretty much built himself a greenhouse. And it's all told like through the like a journal entry of Donatello's journal.
Wow.
April O'Neil has kind of fallen into a depression and working a lot. And you kind of see that the new turtle, the new female turtle, Jen, she kind of goes back and forth between the city and the farm where all the turtles are. And she's kind of like lost since the turtles have broken up and Splinter's gone. She's used to being a foot soldier. So she's kind of lost that sense of soldier and the clan. So she's kind of doing her own thing, and she comes across another mutant, like a mutant dinosaur, who has befriended a child albino turtle, and she's trying to figure out who she is. And she comes across this mutant dinosaur who's getting jumped by these other two mutants, and she saves her. And basically, what makes this issue so special is that it's the first appearance of Mona Lisa, which is the dinosaur. So if you're huge on the spec market, Turtles 101 has the first appearance of Mona Lisa. And what people are speculating, if you watch the Turtles live action TV show in the 90s, they had a female character. She was a turtle who was blue, and her name was Venus de Milo. And their speculation is that this albino turtle is going to be Venus de Milo. So if that's the case, this issue would also be considered the first appearance of Venus de Milo. So you're getting double first appearances in this issue. So definitely, if you're in the spec game, Turtles 101 is one to check out, especially the retail variant, 1 in 10 retail variant cover. if you can get that. But it was good for me. I give it a 4. It's an interesting to see, like, look, if you're a Turtles fan and you read 100, you know that they gave Splinter what I feel is the definitive ending, and it's probably one of the best endings in deaths in comic book history. As far as if you go back like through all the lore of Turtles and kind of what Splinter's about, and you know Turtles at the core, the way 100 ends and the ending he gives feels very definitive, but it also feels perfect. And when we talk about movies and TV shows and how endings matter, it felt like they approached it with endings matter, and that character got his definitive ending. But
Wow.
now you're looking at these 4 brothers or 4 brothers and 5 turtles all together that are used to turning to Splinter. They're used to turning to that father figure to help them out of a bind, or to have all the issues, or to guide them, and they don't have that anymore, and they've kind of fallen apart. And Raphael's out doing his thing, and he doesn't come around anymore. Michelangelo's in a crippling depression. Leonardo has reverted into being a gardener and kind of given up the way of the ninja. And it doesn't really show what Donatello's doing, because, like I said, it's kind of like the book is being written from the pages of Donatello's journal. So even April, you see the kind of the effect it's having on April, and just all the ripple effects of his death has on the Turtles, even 6 months later. So I think this is an interesting time in Turtles history. If you're not reading IDW Ninja Turtles, I think 100 and 101 is your jumping on point, because they're changing everything you know about Turtles right now, and everything you're used to about Turtles. It's completely getting changed, and now you're seeing life after Splinter and how the Turtles are going to cope with that. And I'm down for the ride. I'm excited to see what issue 102 and beyond holds. So
That's cool. That's cool. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a title that I've tried jumping onto a few times, or I'll just grab random issues. When I have extra money, I'm like, oh, I'll see if I can. But it never like really sunk in. It never. I was never able to really grab on. But maybe 100. I'll see if anybody has any copies of it left, and I'll buy that.
with the IDW run, it's very I mean, the art's usually good. It's been spotty for me. So like my IDW Turtles runs are it's very spotty. There's a lot of holes in them, because there's a lot of story arcs that just don't hit with me, and I'll bail on the book for a little bit, and then I'll come back. But they've got a new creative team on this book now. They've got a new artist, a new writer on it moving forward as of issue 101. Like I said, and you're in uncharted territory. You're in territory that is not familiar to any Turtles fan. Splinter's gone. The Turtles are in turmoil. You got to kind of see what brings them all back together, and how they venture forth without their father figure. It's something that all of us face one day in life, losing a parent. But it's just you gotta see how these 4 turtles who have known nothing different and have relied on Splinter their entire life to cope and adjust, and where do they go from here?
Wow, man. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. You sold me. I'm in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that's tough. So there's never been any. Splinter's been a constant throughout.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. Well, the last book that I have is Marvel's Star Wars: The Rise of Kylo Ren. And usually these books, they're very hit or miss. And for me, I mean, I'm a fairly big Star Wars fan, but these comics sometimes aren't so good. Charles Soule, again, is writing this one, as well as the new ongoing. And the art's by a guy named Will Sliney, who I've never heard of before, but art's very good. And this book is also very good. I enjoyed issue 1. And it pretty much just starts out where Kylo Ren burns Luke's Jedi temple and runs away. That was pretty much issue 1. And issue 2 is a flashback story about the first time Luke and a young, maybe either barely preteen or just barely teenage Kylo Ren run into the Knights of Ren. So again, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's a pretty cool story. And supposedly all these comics are canon. So anything that happens, you can pretty much, it's part of official lore. So yes, they go in search of a Jedi outpost, and Luke and Kylo and Lor Santeca, who's the old guy in the beginning of Force Awakens, the guy that gives Poe the map to Luke, and that gets killed. So they go in search of an abandoned Jedi outpost, and that's where they encounter the Knights of Ren, and they fight, and one of the knights can kind of sense the dark side in Kylo Ren, and he takes his helmet off and he looks at Kylo Ren and he says, "Hey, I know you sense that there's more out there, and I know you sense that your master here isn't teaching you everything." He says, "If there's ever a time when you want to know the whole truth, you come and find me." And then they leave. So that was pretty cool. It was a good story. Like I said, the art was fantastic. I have no complaints. I'll give this a 4.5 as well.
Ooh. Look
So
at this guy.
Yeah, and that's pretty rare because these
doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, giving the high scores.
These Star Wars books, man, sometimes are real stinkers, but this one seems to be hitting the marks for me anyway. So,
giving the high scores as he doesn't want to hurt people's feelings.
No, the great Charles Soule.
You don't want him to take your soul. So you're giving him the high scores.
Sir, yes, sir.
The high and tights.
But yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know, there were some clunkers in there, that's for sure.
Not bad. My last book of the night. I don't know if you picked this up. Fallen Angels #5.
Yes, I did.
This book is finally, after 5 issues, starting to make a little bit of sense. And it's finally, after 5 issues, for me anyways, kind of picking up here a little bit. And I liked the addition of Bling and Husk and to the story, and it was nice kind of seeing that they're still trying to focus on that separation between Betty Bardock and Psylocke.
Yes, they are.
It was nice seeing basically the X-23 led team kind of fighting and training together. I mean, not a lot happened in the grand scheme of things because they're trying to hunt down I can't think of it. I'm trying to figure his name again.
The villain.
Yeah, the robot dude. I'm trying to remember what his name is.
Starts with
yeah,
Hawk or a
APOC or something like that. I can't. It's terrible. I should write this. I should really take notes. Yeah, I can't remember where it's at. But anyways, she's trying to find out where he's hiding. And so she goes to Mr. Sinister and asks him Apoth. So he's trying to find out where he's hiding, and she can't sense him. So because he's hiding in a different reality almost. or dimension, and she goes to Mr. Sinister to have him try to like perfect her and change her to where she can detect him. And he's like, you don't need perfection, you don't need changing, you need you need technological enhancements. So he gives her like this little nano chip that she puts on the side of her head, and it separates her soul from her body, so that way she can go into the world where Apoth is and try to sense him. And she ends up doing that and finding him in Dubai. So she assembles her new team of X-23, Young Cable, and all these other mutants to go confront Apoth in Dubai. And that's pretty much the gist of the story. It ends with her doing that, but she kind of is talking to Magneto, and Magneto pretty much gives her the go-ahead and says, you don't need any more permission from the Krakoan Secret Council to do what you need to do. You're pretty much operating as a sleeper cell, and I have full faith in you to do what you need to do to complete your mission. And he gives her his full support and lets her go. And I mean, really, like, that's when I say not a lot happened, like that's pretty much the gist of it. It's just cool to finally see that team getting together, and Magneto even like raises a jet for them to fly. And the final panel is them landing in Dubai, and Apoth sitting there basically saying mother's home, as he's taken over and corrupted the people of Dubai. So the art's still beautiful. I'm hoping it gets a little bit more interesting now that they're going after Apoth. And it kind of seems like this identity crisis thing is maybe coming to an end. It wasn't as focused on as heavily in this issue as it's been focused on in other ones. So I'm gonna give this issue a 3, a solid 3. I feel like the art was still good. It moves the story at a snail's pace, but at least it's trying to move ahead instead of lingering in that identity crisis type story it was going with.
See, I had the glass is half empty view, where it seems like you had more of a positive outlook on this. They didn't focus on their Betsy and Psylocke's mental split or physical split, but they still touched on it. And there were some cool parts in it. You know, I thought it was really interesting. First of all, when is Sinister named Bar Sinister?
I don't know.
Like Simon Bar Sinister from Underdog?
Yeah.
What? Okay, anyway, because they call him Bar Sinister. They've called him that a couple times. I'm like, when did the bar come in? Anyway, I thought it was kind of cool. Like when you said Sinister gave her that a little piece of technology to put her on her head to find that villain. And he said, this is going to hurt a lot. And if it doesn't work, you're pretty much going to have permanent brain damage.
Yeah, and your psyche's going to be ripped in pieces.
Yeah, and she's like, why are you still talking? You know?
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. I didn't really care much for Bling or Husk. I thought Husk was kind of a boring character from before. Cannonball's sister. I didn't think much happened at all, and I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of it not progressing fast enough. But like you did say, the art is still really, really great. I don't even, who is the artist anyway? Because gosh, it's so good. It has a very distinct look to it. It's got such like signature that it's really good. Cable, the young Cable is pretty much like a no-show. You know, he doesn't do anything. He hasn't really done anything. He's just kind of there in the background. And they're coming out with a young Cable standalone series later on this year.
Yep.
Pass.
Right.
Hard pass. Um, I it depends, man. If next time this issue comes out, if it's like a hot week, if there's a lot of good books that week, I may pass on this.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's not. I don't know. Like, I'm not excited by the second wave of X books to come out of this. Like, I'm gonna give Wolverine a shot. I think Wolverine might be a sleeper book, but I'm kind of falling off on Fallen Angels, and I'm kind of falling off on Excalibur, which at the end of the day, that's fine because my wallet isn't taking as big of a hit.
yeah.
And that gives me room to go to other books and check out other things. But I think I'm falling off because I like X-23. I like Psylocke. I like the characters in this book, but it's not progressing fast enough. Like 5 issues, and I still feel like it hasn't really progressed.
Mm-mm.
Maybe I'm just an uncultured idiot and don't understand it, but like it's just like it's not progressing to me at all.
No, it's not, and that's one of the reasons why it's teetering. It's teetering on the edge for me. Yeah, but it, like you said, it's really great to look at. It's a very beautifully drawn book.
Yeah.
But story-wise, no. It drags, and it seems like it keeps revisiting things that you thought were already in the past. Like you thought they already got through it, and it just, and like I said, I like X-23, and well, I like who Psylocke used to be. I don't know, but I don't even know if that's enough to keep me. I don't think it is.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what. I don't know. I don't know. Well, so what do you think? What do you, did you already rate it?
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
I think I'll agree with that.
A 2.5 is a solid. A solid. I think it's a fair. It's a more than a fair score. It might be a little bit more than I should give it, but I feel like 2.5 is a fair score.
See, I was gonna say you may be. I could go 3 just because I didn't struggle through it. It was still engaging enough, but like you said, it's just not moving fast enough. I don't even. It almost seems like, I don't know. Maybe they don't even know where they want it to go. Who knows?
Yeah. I
But
think 3.5 is fair, more than fair for it. Guys, I mean, I one of these days will be more prepared for this show. I mean, this week we kind of had to throw it together. Corbin couldn't be with us at the last minute. You might be wondering where Corbin is, and I'm going to turn it over to Kyle from Absolute Geek to tell you why Corbin isn't here.
Because he's a busy guy, because he's fucking busy.
So Corbin can't be here because he's a busy guy. So, maybe next week he'll be here with us. Who knows? I'm saying that because I don't have a list of books coming out tomorrow that I'm looking forward to. Do you have a list?
yeah, I got previews up here. Let's see. Image. Gosh, let me look. Not a lot for Image. Dark Horse has Aliens versus Predator, Thicker Than Blood, number 2 of 4, which was a surprise hit for me. I loved issue number 1. So I'm looking forward to Aliens versus Predator, Thicker Than Blood, number 2, coming out tomorrow. Very much. IDW for me, no, nothing much. Well, there's a book called Rising Sun, number 1. Not sure what that's about. Perhaps I'll pick it up. DC has, for me, blah, 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 Detective Comics, number 359. Flash, number 86. Justice League. Oh, no, I don't pick up Justice League Odyssey. That was boring. Another book that I was really disappointed in the Hill House stuff was Low Woods. Number 2 comes out tomorrow. Don't think I'll be picking that up. Nightwing number 68. Definitely picking that up. And Marvel probably has a crap ton of stuff. Avengers number 29. Picking that up. Iron Man 2020 number 1 of 6. I don't know. Their ongoing Iron Man book, which is Tony Stark Iron Man, I believe just ended last month. And it's good that it did because it was kind of a stinker. Gosh. What else is coming out on Marvel? Gosh, there's not a lot. Wow, it's kind of a slow week. I don't know if you'd be interested in this, but Venom the End, number 1.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
I don't even know what that is. Dynamite. What? Go ahead.
You've got Iron Man 2020 number 1. Jessica Jones Blind Spot number 1. Spider-Man and Black Cat Strike number 1. Revenge of the Ghost Rider number 2. There's honestly, there's not a lot I'm gonna pick up tomorrow. I'm gonna be honest. There's really nothing here that's catching my eye for next week.
Red Mother number 2 comes out tomorrow. Didn't you pick up number 1? I think we both like that.
Yeah. I mean, next week might be a tough one to pull through because there really is not a lot. We'll keep you guys posted, but there's really not a lot as far as the week goes. Maybe that'll be a week. Undiscovered Country 3, if you're reading that.
Nope.
That might be a week where I just pick up some random stuff and see where it goes.
You see, if one was smart, I'm not talking about just you, because I do this as well. When you go, because I have, you're probably the same way. You have kind of a certain amount of funds allocated towards comics. So when you go to the comic book store and you don't spend the whole chunk that you have saved for that, a smart person would say, well, I'm going to hold on to this for when the week is full, when you have extra issues you want to buy. But see, you don't. I do what you do and say, I'll just pick up other random stuff and I'll just spend it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny that you do that too, because I thought I was the only one that had no restraints. No personal restraint. I just
nope. I just if I see something I'm interested in, I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I wish I had that kind of I don't know, what would you call that?
Restraint?
Self-discipline,
Restraint, self-discipline, yeah.
Nope. But yeah, slow week. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be enough to moan about.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, like I said, I might pick up Batman 86. I might pick up some books that I didn't read this week.
You still need to get that one. Gosh, that one you said you think. Dying is Easy number 2.
Dying is Easy number 2. Yeah, I need to check that out. Like I said, I might pick up some IDW books. Might pick up some Image stuff. Might check out that Rising Sun number 1.
Yeah.
Image has some stuff coming out, so might pick up some Image stuff. I mean, they don't have it. That's surprising that Image doesn't have a number 1 coming out next week, or coming out tomorrow, I should say. That's very interesting. Oh well, onwards and upwards. But there's some stuff I'll probably pick up and check out, but not a whole lot for next week, guys. So we'll see what we can scrounge up,
scrape up.
Yes, sir. But I think that'll do it for this week's episode of Tales from the Spinner Rack. I want to appreciate everyone for hanging out with us tonight in the chat, and everyone listening to us tomorrow on the replay. Guys, if you had a good time, make sure to check us out on our Facebook, or not Facebook, but on our YouTube page. Make sure to like and subscribe there. If you're listening to this anywhere you can get Absolute Geek Podcast at, We appreciate you checking us out, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can catch us every Tuesday when we release a new episode of Spinner Rack. If you have any books that you want to recommend to us or you want us to review, make sure to hit us up in the comment section below or on social media, at any of our social medias, and let us know, hey guys, check this book out, or hey, review this, or hey, I disagreed with your review on that, or this is why this book sucks and you're an idiot. You know, whatever. we welcome everything. But for this week's episode of or issue of Tales from the Spinner Rack, I am Matt.
And I'm Jay.
And we'll see you guys next week. Remember to support your local comic shop and keep them bagged and boarded. Super soft birthday party.
Yeah, I'm 6 minutes late.